Thank you. So as normal, we have one action item, and that's to ratify the personnel actions. And I'll try to go through this real quick. The first page is the personnel actions, the actual resolution. The next page is just the summary of what I will go through as far as appointment separations and layoffs. The first chart is are our separations, and none of these are, I guess, COVID related. We had 2 retirements, and we had a non-renewal and another assistant women's basketball coach that departed us during this time period. The next page is the layoffs. There are 9 on that list. So, as we went through the budget process, there were some additional positions that were open that we hadn't filled. And the person at the bottom, Anthony Morelli, has now retired. And obviously we don't have any appointments, so that concludes my report.
Second.
So moving on, we have one discussion item. And again, as usual, this is the discussion item that I normally bring to this group every September. And it just gives us an opportunity once a year to look at, financially where we, where we stand up to with our peers. So we have 2 pages there. The first page is expenditures, and the next one is just an analysis of the revenues. On the first page, the first grouping is the Missouri Valley Conference, which is the conference we play football in. It's probably the group of schools that look the most like us, because at least athletically, because they have competitive men's basketball and they have football at the FCS level. So that first chart at the top, I always want to try to put the number of full-time undergrad students so you can put that in perspective. These figures come off the Equity and Athletic Disclosure Act. It comes off the website of the post-secondary education. And so it's available to the public. The average figures that on all these charts do not include our figures. So as we go through that chart, you'll see men's basketball, compared to this, this peer group, we're spending about $1.1 million less on average than this group is on men's basketball. Women's basketball, we're spending about $312,000 less. I always like to point out, what the average is in women's basketball compared to what we are spending in men's basketball. Those figures are normally really close. If not, sometimes the average is higher than what we're spending. I also want to point out that these figures don't change that much over the years. What will be interesting is the next 2 years that I report. It'll be interesting to see how these figures flow through. The average expenditure in football was a little over $5 million to our 4.3. So we're spending about $700,000 less than the average. And then total expenditures, that's all athletic department expenditures, we're spending $5 million less. The expenses in both the men's basketball and women's basketball are the lowest in this peer group for us. And, I always try to point out, really, since 1988, 1999, when I was collecting this information, we've always been in the top 4 in expenditures in football. These past 2 years, we've fallen out. Last year, we were ranked 7th, and last year, we ranked 6th in overall expenditures in the football program for this group. The next chart down, the Mid-American Conference, again, those are our peers at Kent State and Akron and And those institutions, and again, we're, fall behind very similar number in men's basketball and in women's basketball. And in this case, we are spending less than the average women's basketball compared to our men's expenditures. And just to give you a sense on football, we're spending, about 4.2 less than the average in the Mid-American Conference, and $15 million less in total expenditures. I know that's become a topic in the media here recently. The bottom chart, the Horizon League, again, we're spending about, $866,000 less in men's basketball. Women's basketball, $243,000 less. In total expenditures, we're expending $1.6 million more. But remember, about $4 million or so is due to our football program. And then the last column there shows what we're spending just on league sports. So if you take out football and all that, the average expenditure in our league is $9 million, and we're spending 7.3. And
does this include Robert Morris and
no. So the next page, we'll take a quick picture of the revenue side. Again, the Missouri Valley is the top chart, and it shows the expenses, which you saw on the previous page. Total football earned income, we're generating about $300,000 more. So it just breaks out. We're generating about 39% of the expenses to run our football program. And then that last column just really breaks out what the institution then has to fund our program. So the institution's really contributing about $1 million less than the average institution in this peer group. And then the next chart down, men's basketball, very similar chart. We're generating 37% of our expenses, and compared to 29% in the Horizon League. And then the last chart at the bottom, shows total expenditures, and we're generating about 28% of our expenditures compared to the average of 20%. And again, as you look at the Horizon, you got to remember we have football, and where the other institutions don't. So the other institutions' total investment is about the same as ours, almost identical, but they don't have a Division I football program.
I'd be interested to have a column for total student athletes.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Because our number of student athletes on campus compared to
right, it's much different.
League, I don't know about Missouri Valley, but Horizon League for sure pretty much higher, and we would be the upper 3 or 4 in America.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. If yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're spending less than virtually everybody, and we're generating more than most.
On the football side, what accounts for most of that?
It's salaries. It seems to be salaries. Salaries and some scholarships. Oh, revenue. I'm sorry.
I noticed you spent
Yeah, I'm sorry. It would be, a lot of it's our suites. It's the loges.
I don't know that anyone
Has what we have. It's South Dakota State. Right. Yeah, it would be the suites that would make the difference.
So if you want to buy a suite this fall.
So that concludes my presentation.
So Ron, for any of these conferences, there's almost no way you can afford to play without fans, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the worst case scenario for us is to play without fans.
Right.
Financially, that's what you don't want to hear, is for us to play without fans. So no question. Because we're able to have some, significant savings and expenses if we don't play at all. But if we play without fans, it becomes expensive. Thank you.
Yes. Perhaps I'd like to make a motion to enter executive session. I move that the Board of Trustees of the Youngstown State University enter executive session. The appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, or compensation of one or more university employees. Pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code Section 21.2B1, and review the collective bargaining negotiations with university employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code Section 21.2B4. Trustee, the chair has requested a roll call vote with a yes being a vote in favor of the motion to enter executive session, and a vote of no being not in favor of bringing executive session. Trustee Fafaro.
Yes.
Trustee Axton.
Yes.
Trustee Ratify. Yes. Trustee Roberts.
Yes.
Trustee Peterson.
Yes.
Trustee Steele.
Yes.
Trustee Cole.
Yes.
Trustee Ryan. Yes. As I vote yes to the executive session, Chair Axton,